Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to SimRacingOnline, the home of virtual motorsport. My name is Like Sky, and tonight I will be taking you through quite a special event. Not part of a series or anything that you would be used to from SRO. This is a special one-off, testing, essentially, the multiclass capabilities of Assetto Corsa Competizione. No championship at stake here, no real points to consider, just go as fast as you can, stay out of trouble, and get to the finish first in your class. You can see the number 75 of Geimer just making his way out of this Misano pit lane for the first time in this qualifying session. And an interesting night of racing we're looking forward to. Again, multi-class racing, so the drivers are going to be dealing with a lot of problems. You can already see the GT4 cars and GT3 cars mixing it up, an open pit lane and session, so these guys have got to be careful in their qualifying sessions as well. Discipline from the drivers is going to be key here. Andy Williams, some of you may recognise from the other ACC GT3 series where he's doing pretty well in that 22. Let's see if he can translate that into a multi-class setting as well. Although in the ACC League, he is driving a McLaren. So a change of car, perhaps a change of pace for the Williams car. Just getting chat open now. If you do have anything to contribute, points arising, questions or anything of the like, feel free to ask them. I am in chat. And ready and willing to answer anything that arises for you. Just getting the warm-up laps and opening bouts of this qualifying session. A half-hour qualifying session this time, so everybody will have ample opportunity to get their qualifying pace. And as you can see, 11 drivers on this Misano track. There will definitely be space for a lot of the drivers. As Williams comes round the last sector of the track up to Curve Misano. And running a little bit wide there. Up to the line for the first time, a 1:36.5, a pretty decent bout for Williams' first attempt, but I'm sure he will be trying to find time through the rest of the session. Not one to give up very easily, and already he's going a 10th up. Nobody going much quicker at the moment. We'll keep eyes on with the 22 here for the time being, as ACC shows us why this game is just so pretty. Go for the second camera set, get some slightly higher viewpoints for you as well. Coming down now into the left-hander curve. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. That seems insane. Tramonto is next, a long sweeping right-hander, which is going to put the left-hand tyres under pressure. Thankfully it's decreasing radius, so the drivers will be slowing down rather than having to try and balance the throttle. It's a bit kind in that regard. And he's running up to a GT4 car, it seems, at the moment. Unless I'm very much mistaken. It runs wide onto the marbles. Oh, that's not going to help his time. He's still half a second up. But that time will have been disallowed. Quite unfortunate for him there. Grucock behind, however, in the Gulf liveried 42 Aston, is up on his previous time. Still 2 seconds off the pace setting time of Williams, but Qualifying pace and race pace are two very, very different things here, especially in a multi-class race where there is so much to consider. Not only do they have to worry about potentially pit stops, they have to worry about cars going dramatically slower. But the apex speed of the GT4 cars isn't that much different from the GT3 cars. They're going to have to be doing it on the straights, which is going to present another challenge entirely as Groocock goes half a second faster coming to the line. Norman Bruce currently going 1.5 seconds already faster than his previous time. That will put him very much closer to the pole of GT4. See if he can maintain that through the last sector. Very, very good looking 570S there in the GT4 spec. You'll see a lot of differences between the GT3 and GT4 cars developing their downforce in very different ways. As Milliken now a position above Bruce at the moment. Bruce comes across the line 1.6 seconds, so the track is starting to come to them. That takes him up to third. Milliken, meanwhile, 1.8 seconds coming down to the final corner. Around the last corner he comes, runs it out as wide as he dares, doesn't go as far as the yellow and black warning strips on the outside line. 1.9 seconds faster will drop him to third now, pushing Bruce out of that third place position. Groocock now going 0.9 of a second, almost a second faster. Not being able to compete with the two ahead at the moment. You can see the GT3 cars going slightly wider, pushing it out, nearly going as far as those Bumblebee strips, and now the times start to close up as the track starts to rubber in this session. That seems to be the only driver going fast at the moment. Hines is half a second up. He's got very good drive out of Curva del Rio, I think, judging by, yes. Oh, but a wiggle on the exit of Quercia. That's going to be a really poor pronunciation. Is going to drop him back. Still running a little bit quicker than before, but nowhere near as much. Geimer, meanwhile, half a second up as it stands, will improve his time to a 1:46.986. And Bruce as well will come across the line for a 1:46.5. Good time there. Oh, and a Scotsman as well. Good man. Good man. Barley is looking to get in the way of the Audi GT3 car. It seems 76 will come across the line. Time should improve, but does swap him for the second position. Front row of the grid then for Barley as it stands. Johnny Gutierrez, meanwhile, 2/10 up as he comes round the second sector. A nice long straightaway for him to look forward to. Nope. There, that one. Oh no, it's through the last sector. There we go. A couple of these places on this track look quite similar. 3/10 up is Gutierrez as he comes across the line. The Aston Martin behind is going to begin his flying lap. But now Gutierrez goes across the line with the 1:44.5. And Barley has got all of the work left to do again. Milliken again was going faster but ran wide. Coming out, I think that's out onto the back straight. Certainly looks like it. Yep. Going back round through to the final complex is a second down, but he's got plenty of time left to gather it all up. Hines, meanwhile, now out on a lap in the 25, just behind Milliken on the road. This is going to be a bit difficult as they come down towards the final sector. Oh, Milliken abandons to the pits. He's done with those tyres. Hines is 3/10 up coming out of the last corner. 2/10. He didn't get as good a drive off of that last apex as he's had on previous occasions. Still goes faster with a 139.5. And that will see him secured in 4th for the time being. Meanwhile, Rychek is in the pits. Oh no, he's on his outlap. The 33 car is out. And circulating. He is on a fast lap, so we might finally get a lap from the 33 car. And across the line he goes. That will be his warm-up lap. Thank you, timing screen. Really appreciate that. But onto the new lap. Let's follow the 33 car round as he comes out of Variante del Paso. Then Curva del Rio is a double right-hander. You see that? And then the left-hander onto one of the longer straights on the track. Really, this is going to be one of the places where the GT3 cars are going to have to drive home the advantage. Of the straight line speed that the GT3 cars have. Oh, as the Aston gets away from Rychek under braking, it looked like. Gonna now come back down through Cavone. Don't lift, don't lift, don't lift. Take all your brave pills and don't lift. This one, down a gear. Hold on to the car as long as you dare, and I think that's going to be a invalidated lap time. Yep. A lot of understeer coming from that Aston Martin. Meanwhile, the Rychek jumps into the pits. That's a shame. Hey there, Monkey D. Brad. Jumping in with us tonight as we do a bit of an experiment with the multi-class cars. And Andy Williams, I love these high shots. I really wish that they didn't have the helicopter soundtrack over the back. I might have to delete that file. But coming up to a Maserati GT4 car who's going to get massively sideways and potentially balk the 22 car. 2/10 up on his previous lap. That is going to space out the gap between first and second for now. Selvi, meanwhile, coming down the long straight. I love this angle. I really do. And you can see just what the drivers aren't seeing with how these corners are laid out. Beautiful, beautiful track is Misano. Was driving around here in a DTM car a couple of weeks ago. And obviously in sim. But superb track, and you have to take your brave pills. You really do. Here you go. First of the Cavones. 1 and 2. Run as far out as you dare. Touch the curb if you're really brave. Get into the apex and then slow it again for Curva del Caro. Now on the throttle as smoothly as you can. Hold it flat through the second to last corner, and then Curva Misano is the last one where you want to run it as wide as you dare. Pull it out onto the track again, and Tanner comes across the line, not able to go any quicker. And pulling to the inside, why has he done that? Just going back to the pits. Who else do we have? That's the 25 car. Going out again. Hines not happy with his previous lap, and this is going to be really very interesting in the race. Under the pit speed limiter this entire time. Really, really long pit lane for what is not a very expanded pit box, and they're allowed to hit the throttle now. I suppose that's to avoid giving any advantage, running through the pit lane through the first chicane. So Heinz is going to be on a mission now to get his fresh tyres heated, warmed up, be nailing on the brakes and giving it, you can see just the slightest hint of wiggle where he's trying to get those tyres up to temperature. Very plain dashboard in the Audi. It's really quite disappointing when you consider how nice some of the others look. Gukop 2 is still out on the road. Johnson is on a fast one, half a second up on his previous times. That 90 car is looking a bit more happy. For whatever reason, it's about 5 seconds off the pace at the moment, unfortunately, and last of the GT3 runners, I thought he was a GT4 runner, to be fair. But Barley in the Aston has taken it to the top of GT4, it looks like, in the sister Aston. Just started a new flying lap into the first corner, and that's a really terrible camera angle for actual racing. Let's see if we can get a slightly different angle there. And out of the first sector he comes, a 10th down at the moment. Johnson, meanwhile, coming through the last sector, is a second faster than where he was. That's really good showing from him. Great to see. Only 7/10 off the back of Heinz now in the 25. Was just trying to get all of the ducks in a row. Selby, meanwhile, is out on track still, looking to run into, there we go, last sector. 210's up as we speak, but not quite getting the drive off the corner, it looks like. I don't know. One thing that ACC has given us, which is absolutely brilliant, is no, running a 10th slower now and coming up to the back of, I think that's a 20, no, it was the 90 car. 90 car running 6/10 up. Looking to push for that second row of the grid. Always good to... It really does make a difference between the first and second rows of the grid with that Bentley bearing down behind, though. You've got to wonder if Johnson can hold his nerve. Into the Cavoni. Feather the brakes, perhaps a little bit overslowed there for the 90 car. Behind is going a 10th quicker in front as well now. It was a good exit from Del Coro for Johnson there. And the Bentley won't be minding that toe at all. 90 comes up to the line, Bentley pulls out alongside, and hopefully, yes, Johnson displaces Heinz from that second row of the grid in that beautiful black number 90. But Heinz, not to be outdone, is still out on a lap and is going another half second faster. The track really is getting up to speed now. GT4 car just jumping offline to get out of the 25's way. Really good, again, really good driving from all concerned to be able to have the whereabouts to get out of the way of the faster class cars. The Aston should go wide. There we go. And then the 25 carries on unabated, and that slipstream will have helped as well. 6/10 up at the moment going into Del Coro. 7/10 on the exit, so really good drive off of the corner this time. The track rubbering in very nicely, especially in the later stages of the lap. Out of the final corner, and how much faster is this going to be? Heinz comes across the lines, we wait for our timing screen to come up, and it is a full second faster than his previous lap time. Really good showing there from Heinz, and he was going even faster for a moment there. Andy Williams is back out on track, as is Selby, going 4/10 faster at the moment, so the track really is warming up now. We're halfway over halfway through this qualifying session. 4/10, and the Bentley will go to the top of the timesheets for a moment. Or was that not? That was not valid. Didn't get any warning there, and here we go. Andy Williams 1:35.8 as the track starts to rubber in, and he's still pushing for... Oh, no, he's not. So, an escape back to the pits, but now Tanner Selvi going to be under pressure from behind if he's not too clever, in the form of Grucock in the 42 car. 7 looks mighty in that green, really does, and the bodywork done by M Sport, absolutely astounding. I'm sure you've all seen the stats on the Bentley, how much wider it is than the road car, how much lighter it is than the road car. Really is a fantastic piece of engineering, that. As the GT4 jumps off to the inside, not clever there. He's going to have grass all over his tyres now. Oh, is that going to invalidate his lap for Selvi? Clunks up through the gears, holds it flat through the penultimate corner up to Curvo Misano. He's going for it still. Will come across the line and go. Yep, the lap time was disallowed. Such a shame. Keeps running wide through the last of the Cavones, trying to get as wide a line as is possible, but it's not paying off for him. Let's jump on board with that beautiful number 7 car and listen to the V8 whine of the Bentley. On a mistake from Selvi this time, trying to get the car turned in even tighter. Was not able to maximise this time at all. 6 minutes remaining, and there's nothing. With the track warming up, there is still lots of action left to come, provided the drivers feel that there is anything left. Bentley braking right into the corner. Being front-engined means that it is a lot more stable under braking, but that looks to be the Audi GT3 in front on the track. Selvi not confident with that, with the balance of the car through the middle of the conversation, through the middle of the corner though. Maybe wrong, that spoiler looks too low to be the Audi. Yep, Aston. There we go. Selby's not quite looking as happy with the balance of the car, as the 76 is going to get right in the way. And then run wide because he was driving defensively when he really shouldn't have been. Could he use the slipstream of the Bentley getting past to make it work for him, but missed out on the opportunity this time, and that's knocked half a second off the qualifying pace of Selvi there. Still able to draw it back in through the corners, so there is some pace and some time to be gained in that number 7 car. Whether he can string it all together this lap or the next will have to remain to be seen. Johnson, meanwhile, oh, that was again, Selvey not happy with the balance of that car. I did just see a swap of positions. The 1-2-2's going quicker. Not enough to be making a difference at the moment, but there's still time to be made up, and that Maserati screams. Oh man. Across the line, and within half a second now is Muttram to Gutierrez. What a peculiar sound. Oh, that's weird. Johnson, meanwhile, is going faster again in the 90 car. That Aston really starting to put on a bit of a show. I don't think he's stopped driving since he came out. So, perhaps one to look for in race pace as he keeps climbing up the field. And Rins, who was looking so sure for a second row start, suddenly all the way down in 6th and 2.8 seconds off the pace, and not improving either. Seems to have hit the limit of what the Audi wants to do, either through the corners or in a straight line, and the 90 runs wide. And is that going to affect whether Johnson has this lap or not? He's going 6 tenths faster. We come across the line to await an update, and no, that was enough for the time to be invalidated. So now Johnson, having done all that hard work, has got to do it all again this time around. Already 2 tenths up, so obviously had a very bad sector 1 with his previous laps. Don't think he's going to get third. I don't think he's quite got the pace for that on qualifying pace anyway. The fact that he has stayed out so long and kept the car underneath him seems to point to a long-term race pace that should be having at least Grewcock worried. If the car is this good over a long race stint, there's not a lot that anyone's going to be able to do. Rychek behind in the 33 as well. Aston is improving dramatically, and with both of these separated by 1/1000th of a second, or 6, every 10th makes a massive difference to the order in which these two end up at the start of the race, with 45 seconds to go. Oh, the 33 car has been massively balked. Going down through the very slow hairpin. Gonna weave around and get back on the racing line to try and do what he can. He's still half a second up on his previous times, but what damage has that done? Oh, he's pushing so hard. He's gonna overdrive the car if he pushes too hard. But Johnson and Rychek both looking to be half a second or so up on their previous times. And that mistake in that final right-hander, there we go. That mistake in that right-hander secured Johnson's place as he comes out. Where on earth is he on the track? That is out onto the back straight. He's going to do a kink right and then left. Nope. Up to the Cavona. Cavone, nice and stable on the brakes. Keep it underneath him. He's 4 tenths up at the moment. This is purely for his own pride at this point. Back out onto the power. Aston Martin V8 sounding superb. Try and keep the car underneath you. Under power again through the second to last corner, and then up through Misano. Still up on his previous times. This is going to be a securing of the 4th position for Johnson. But it made the gap between 4th and 5th. Just a little bit more concrete in the end. Rychek had such an unfortunate mistake in that last hairpin down at Curva del Rio. And that is what cost him that 4th place in the end. Only one position. So all of the work to be done now during the race for a few of the drivers. First position, leading the drivers away on this very foreshortened warm-up lap, will be Andy Williams. Second on the grid will be Tanner Selvi. Third will be Grucock in the first of the non-pole Aston Martins. Mark Johnson will pull away in 4th, Rychek in 5th, and Hines in 6th. First place and pole for the GT4 cars will be Roberto Bali, followed by Johnny Gutierrez, Tim Muttram, Rob Milliken, Norman Bruce, and Simon Geimer pulling up the rear in that BMW. Let me just get that and get that and those times as well. There we go. And with 41 seconds before the session starts, how are you all? I'm expecting an hour of non-stop action, and if nothing else, oh man, there's going to be a lot of times when all of these drivers are going to have to work around each other and take note of each other. Just be generally courteous, which is not what race drivers like to do. They tend to enjoy stamping their authority and not giving right of way. That is your countdown ended. The red flag is out, as you can see at the top of the screen, and Andy Williams pulls away for the start of the race. We will have camera on the 7 Bentley and go to the highest angle we can possibly get, as there's already chaos in the back. What is going on there? The green flag waves, and the Bentley gets the jump on the Aston into the first corner. So it's now 5 Astons from 2nd to 6th. But a Bentley leads the way again, as we've seen in the last race out in the FKR League as well. Bentley leads the way out of turn 1, but that Aston Martin of Williams is formidable and not to be scoffed at, as he's already going back for the place. The straight line speed of that Aston is immense up in the draft of the number 7 Bentley, and able to make it work in the end. The GT4 cars, I think, a lot more messy as they're still going around 2x2. The Maserati is looking quite ready to make hay, and that is Milliken losing a place to Barley, it looks like, through sector 1, or Barley having made up a place is probably more accurate. Williams back to the top by 6/10. Selvi out on his own. That poor Bentley is just so lacking in straight line speed, and he's going to be suffering through the corners as well in the wake of that 22 car. Let's go for some more conventional camera angles now, as my timing screen just absolutely dies. What do we have? The poor GT4 cars are very much going to become second-class citizens, as one of the marker boards already goes flying from Milliken, who is not happy on those tyres in the 56 car by the looks of it. Muttram behind has Intense on that 3rd position. We like Tanner. I like Tanner. I like a man that will pick a Bentley to drive in. As Milliken takes a very wide line. Does he have damage, or does he have... No, that's the... What's the 25 car doing so far down? That's crazy. So, some kind of malarkey at the front of the grid I think I daren't say it, but I think we're going to have to cut back to that race start in a second and get a nice high view of what went wrong for at least one of those drivers, as Grewcock up underneath the rear wing of Rychek. Again, no teammates as they cut across the grass, does Grewcock, trying to find a way past that number 33 car. But it's not happening yet. And now Johnson, who was so off the pace at the start of qualifying, now hanging right onto the back of this fight as well, eager to pick up any of the scraps that might fall off from the table. It all seems fair in Love and War for the time being. I have a feeling, unfortunately, that Selby is going to have a bit of a lonely race. His pace is so far in excess, along with Williams, of the rest of the field. Not quite able to close in, unfortunately. Let me have a look at this replay, however. See if we can get a... There we go. As behind these two leaders, this all went absolutely crazy, as the 25 car seemed to get in with the GT4 cars. The green light flies and the GT4 cars just all get together. What happens to Hines here in the first corner, however, I don't know. Everyone gets through there cleanly, very well behaved, as we expect from the SRO drivers. But the 25 car, cold tyres, GT4s in the background, all behaving quite nicely as the 25 gets spun, making a late attempt up the inside of the 90 car, perhaps just missing his braking point a bit, and that is what caused the issue, as Grewcock finally got in front of Rychek in the 33 car. We will jump back and have a look at that again. Oh, that's vicious. That is vicious. Let's get a slightly better angle as the 42 car got up the inside. Just much better drive off of the first hairpin, which is Curva del Rio. I think it's Curva del Rio, or was it Tramonto? Yeah, it was Tramonto. Up through Cavona, the 42 sealed the place, but then the 33 barging up the inside. Not very sportsmanlike behaviour from Rychek there. Don't know if that was more avoidance than anything else, but the fact remains the 42 car, perhaps with damage, retains that podium position for the time being in a very, very good livery as well. 9th place, Muttram, still hounding the back of the 76 Aston. As what is that engine that's screaming so much? Is that the Corvette? Yeah, Chevrolet. No? I'm pretty sure that's that Maserati making that noise. Either way, listen to these two. Maserati screaming and the Aston's just raw power. Absolutely incredible from the GT4 cars. They have no right to sound anywhere near as good as this. We'll absolutely take it. Muttram is going to make an attempt on that Aston. You can feel it in your bones as they come across the line. The gap is less than 0.2 of a second, and you have to wonder, not yet, Muttram, not yet. Patience, the better part of valor here, as he looks up the inside of the Aston Martin, doesn't have quite as much drive and will again be patient. There is still 52 minutes left in this race. There is no reason to be pushing the subject yet. And this is for the lead of the race, so you don't want to take either yourself or the other driver out at this early point of the race, as the Maserati has got a lot more pace than the Aston. No, second. Gutierrez is a couple of seconds up the road. That's where we're going wrong. Hines, meanwhile, 12 seconds off the leader. Has got all the work to do in that 25 car. And as these GT4 cars are coming round back towards Sector 3, the leader was just passing the start-finish line sideways from the 76, nowhere near as much downforce in these GT4 cars, and so we will be seeing them going for those four-wheel slides a little bit more often than the GT3 cars. 76 goes defensive for some reason. The Maserati wasn't anywhere near close enough at that point, but now he is. As they go side by side across the line, the split for me comes up as 0.1 of a second. The Maserati is up alongside. Is he going to? Yes. So Mutram taking a very, very tight line just to account for Barley trying to get to the apex, and Barley meanwhile taking a wide line to just give the Maserati space. Fantastic here as 42 and 33 are still attached by just about a second at the moment. Both of these cars, remember, will be carrying damage as well, so this is going to be an interesting battle between these two for the final position on the podium. Looks like it's just hovering around that 1 second mark, so maybe Rychek is sitting back and watching his opponent, seeing where he's quicker, maybe just trying to mimic his lines. See what he can do to get back at him later in the race. There was some chatter pre-race talking about how this is going to be very difficult to get done on the tyres that they have, as actually I'm sure Williams is going to be out on his own at the moment, but he can't be too far from approaching the first of the GT4 cars who he will be lapping. As onto the start-finish straight goes Bruce, so there's still a sector between the McLaren of Bruce and the Aston of Williams for the time being, but that gap is going to come down rapidly. As Rychek still... Oh, Rychek starting to push Krukok again. Seems to have the pace in the straights, being able to run in the dirty air of the 42 car there, but when they get into the twisties in Sector 1 and Sector 3, just falls back slightly from the rear of the 42 Aston. So, multiclassing. If you're not familiar with that, you are probably going to want to know what on earth happens. So these two cars are obviously very different classes, run at very different paces, and are in their own race, basically. As Bruce looks to be... Yeah, Bruce is looking at the back of Milliken here. He is drawing in, but this is, again, this is where the multi-class factor comes in, because in a few laps, they're going to start having Williams, Selby, And then Grukok and Rychek soon after, trying to get past in such a way as to not impede either of them and not impede their own races either. But that's always very it's always easy to do in theory, it's always a lot more difficult to do in practice, as Grukok is half a second up on his fastest lap so far, so potentially looking to push that a little further as the 56 goes really wide. I think Milliken might be on a controller, judging by the way those wheels are steering as the 49 car goes for the pass up the what will be the inside for the left-hander. Easily done for the 49 car. But can he pull away at the front? That's the question. As Mark Johnson is going a full second faster than he has before. At the moment, if this is the car now starting to come to him, it's 10 seconds in arrears to the back end of Rychek. But you have to wonder if that 90 car is just starting to come to life. And how much further can he go? 15 minutes of this race already gone. It feels like 5. Yeah, this multi-class racing malarkey. What is it and why is it so much fun and why is it a bother for the drivers? The drivers in the GT3 class, this number 90 car included, are much faster than the GT4 cars, about 10 seconds a lap. So it is of vital importance that they make their way through the GT4 field as quickly as possible so that they don't get passed by their competitors. The GT4 cars, to all intents and purposes, are moving chicanes who have their own fights that they're trying to deal with. Speaking of, the Murtram Gutierrez fight. Oh no, Murtram, having dispatched Barley in the Aston, has now made his way to Gutierrez and now is looking to take the lead of the GT4 race. But that won't be happening for a hot minute, so we will continue to talk about the intrigue of multi-class. So the GT3 cars 10 seconds faster than the GT4 cars, which means that they will be lapping quite often. Not as often as you might think for this 1 hour race, but that 122 is looking very, very racy now. He takes a later apex into the last corner, which will give him more throttle onto the start-finish straight, but the Chevrolet is just about able to keep it ahead. A lot of power in that Camaro as well. I said Corvette before, didn't I? Wrong car. And the 122 laying some nice black lines on the exit of the first corner. And through Curva del Rio, see where the 122 actually has the pace. It doesn't look like it's happening. Oh, doesn't look like it's happening through there. So that 122 is probably running lower drag than the Chevrolet in front on the brakes. The Camaro is so stiff at the front end. Barely saw a dip there. Whereas the Maserati is almost burying its nose in the tarmac under braking. And here we go. The 22 having, it looks like, already dispatched the GT4 cars behind. I'm just going to confirm that. Yep. All 3 of them, in fact. There will be plenty of opportunity to watch that again, but Selby is at 2.8 seconds before, and now is at 3.2. So Williams in that bright yellow and purpley pink, whatever colour it is, lilac. Lilac's not a colour. Is obviously much more viewable, much more visible than the 7 car in that beautiful green colour, regardless of whether the headlights are ablaze on the Bentley or not. Just see, I've never noticed that before, just underneath that spoiler you can just see the back end of the gearbox. Gearbox in the back to spread the weight as evenly as possible in the car. One of those innovations that has been around for quite a while, but some cars don't seem to use it. It's present on that Bentley, and it really does add something to the look of the car and the handling as well, come to think of it. As Milliken now under pressure once again from the McLaren 49, who's been pushed behind somehow. I wonder how that's happened, and meanwhile Geimer isn't that far up the road either. There we go. And this is the difference between the GT3 and the GT4 cars. GT4 car jumps right out of the way for the GT3, the number 33 there of Rychek. And that's lapping. That's how it works. You just need to do that as easy as possible, as quick as possible, and as painless as possible for all concerned. As you can see, the timing screens have just gone doolally because the cars are now separated by more than a sector in some cases to try and get that. But you can see on the interval time here, Rychek is the centre of that scale. You can see the GT4 cars 3 behind, and then relatively close he has Grukok and Selby, but then Barley is next on the hit list. Meanwhile, Williams has now got a lapped car in between himself and any of his competitors, and that is going to make a difference in the split times. Yes, it is indeed. 3 seconds now to the good, and let's see how good the 22 car is with this lap traffic. We'll jump on board with him just in case you find that paint job distracting. Aston sounding a little bit muted compared to what we're used to. Still sounds good though. So this is the 122 has got past the 68, and I'm pretty sure we saw that from the onboard here of Andy Williams. Done in a straight line, the 122 has the pace in a straight line, and it looks like that suspension is set up to be soft enough in the corners. There's a 68 not blocking the leader. It's the 22 car's job to get past the 68. So the drivers in the GT4 cars don't have to jump offline. Some drivers will, just through trying to be nice. But the 22 car being one of those, just hanging on the outside, and that is how you do lappery. But every car has to deal with this, as Selby still close by the leader, but now having 2 lapped cars in between him. We'll pull to the inside for the next corner. The 68 car and the 122 have had battle rejoined ever so slightly with these lapped cars coming past. The 122 wasn't able to get into the apex properly, but the Chevrolet was, and now that battle is rejoined. With, come on, Mudram having to defend from the Chevrolet again. The roles reversed this time, the Chevrolet perhaps having the momentum. 6/10 the gap at the moment, but that Maserati in a straight line is just implausible. Crazy. Crazy pace in a straight line from that 1-2-2. And out onto the start finish line, a massive wiggle from the 122 there. But the gap extends once again. Once again, any points arising, any questions from yourselves in the chat, I'll do my best to answer them for you. If you want to get involved with Sim Racing Online, absolutely feel free to do so. There is a link in the video description to the forum, which this is based, as Gutierrez runs massively wide trying to get out of the way of the 42 car. Rychek will be next, but there is quite a gap now between Rychek and Grukok. 6 seconds by the looks of it. Just to really confuse matters. Bruce is looking racy on Milliken again. This battle right at the back is going to be hard fought. Milliken goes defensive, and the McLaren tries to break around the outside. It's never going to happen, but can the 49 car get the undercut here? Doesn't even go for the apex, just gets on the throttle really early. The Aston has to run out wide, but gets it done for the time being. That 56 car is looking not quite happy at the moment. Not using all the road on exit. And pulling a bit of a defensive line, just warning, no, don't try it through here, that's not going to work. But the McLaren wants to get past again, make up the 6 seconds to Geimer in the 75 car. Again, these GT4 cars are something else. Very little downforce, you have to rely on the mechanical grip of the tyres and suspension, and Milliken gets a massive wiggle out of the final corner. It's not going to be enough to allow the 570 back into the mirrors, but I have a feeling that that 49 car is just a lot better in the squirrely stuff, perhaps running a slightly different setup. These two looks like both on controllers, and how appropriate that they're both fighting together. Actually, who is behind him on the track? That's the 25 car. McLaren again to the outside. Aston comes across to block, gets on the brakes, turns in early though, does the 56 and runs out massively wide. The 49 car trying to maximize the amount of grip and throttle they can apply as early as possible. And again, into one of the slower corners, they close right up, and then they get out onto the straight, and the Aston just seems to walk away or jump on board with the McLaren for a second, as down the middle of the road goes Bruce. Oh, very rear brake bias there for Bruce, switching under braking. Holds it beautifully though. You can see that Bruce is not using as much of the road as Milliken is. Front engine on that Aston Martin dragging the front wheels out towards the curb, whereas the mid-engine sat just behind the driver in the McLaren. A lot more balanced, a lot more poised, as Milliken doesn't quite get the apex of that first corner, and then the McLaren shows its prowess. Just check the Discord and make sure no one's waiting to come talk to me. Nope. A lot of corner cutting, it seems, going on here tonight. I don't know if that's because there's no championship at stake here, but yeah, it's interesting to see. Oh, get that one. Audi coming to put a lap on the 49 car now. Always an opportunity as the car lapping or being lapped to make a pass. But the 49 car being very courteous and just letting off the throttle before they get to the hairpin. Meanwhile, Mutram, what's he got? Oh, he's still got a Chevrolet on his underneath his rear bumper. How does that happen? Oh, as the 68 goes really wide there. Is that a different line, or was no? I think that was Gutierrez running wide. Yep. So all of that push, all of that pressure, and it dissipates through the Chevrolet running wide. Not so much of a differential between these two cars, both front-engined. And actually, no, I think the Maserati has the gearbox close to the rear axle, whereas the Chevrolet has the gearbox at the front of the car. But not as much of a differential. But that grille on the GT4 car is enormous. Looks like it's going to suck your entire dinner in. This must be so frustrating for Gutierrez, though. Just hovering outside of a second, knowing that he can do it. He can do it. But not right now. Rest of the field spreading out a little bit with 30 minutes left to go. Don't think this race they have a mandatory pit stop, but as we have a pause in proceedings as far as that's concerned. And it looks like... no. Does not look like there's a mandatory pit stop in this race. Which is fantastic. Pure racing from start to finish. There we go. Yep. Awesome. But that makes the penalty for having to make a pit stop even worse. So if... and here we go. Here we go with the theorising. Here we go with the commentators' curses, which I have been told that I'm very, very good at. So, Andy Williams leading the race by 2.4 seconds from Tanner Selvi. Valiant effort from both concerned, but with this McLaren 570S in front of them. All it takes is one wrong move from Bruce, and all of that hard work by the 22 can be undone with damage or an off. And this is the risk with Multiclass. It's not about outright pace anymore, it's how you negotiate the traffic and whether you are overtaking safely in such a manner that you can safely get past, or whether you're having to take risks, or whether you want to take risks and not necessarily look for that overall time. I don't think Williams is a kind of driver to push his luck with the lapped cars, but Milliken not being the most reliable there running slightly off the track. The 22 car again had to hesitate. Had to hesitate coming through the last corner, coming past the 56 car. No fault of the 56 or the 22, just the timing of the approach and the uncertainty of knowing where the car is going to go on the racetrack. Again, Selvi gets pushed to the inside by the GT4 car, being on the outside. Again, all is absolutely fair. Very, very good behaviour from all concerned so far. I don't think we've seen any real issues when it comes to the mixture of the classes, which is great to see. But a shame for Rob, who has dropped out of the race due to being put in the wrong car. Massive shame for him. Ah, screw it. Let's have a look at the Bentley. I like the Bentley. Bentleys are cool. Down through for Cavone. Again, for the 20th time. And does the GT4 just get out of the way? Yes. Oh man, it's always awful when you come across cars in the middle of a busy section and you get a massive amount of audio through there. I'm almost sorry if it wasn't for the fact that it was engine noise. Yeah, on board. Get us on board. Yes. Oh, big twitch from Selvi there. Wow. Trying to get on the throttle just way too early for the tyres and missing that apex as well. The tyres look like they might be suffering and going off in that Bentley. There's enough time behind Selvi that he doesn't have to push, but I'm sure he will be wanting to go for that win. 10 seconds in arrears is the Aston of Grucock, and the 33 car even further behind. Wow. Considering they were both fighting for that position early in the lap. Hines now has gone a lap down with that spin on the first lap. It looks like, give me half a second. Yeah, so Hines is running roughly 3 seconds off the pace of these two here. Grucock in the 42 isn't one to overlook yet. He's got that podium position, but with the Aston Martin, and it looks like he's teamed with Andy Williams as well, so a lot of good knowledge between that 22 and 42 car. Now, I'm not going to say I really enjoy the sound of the Bentley, but that's a really good noise. Again, Selvi's just running so wide on the entrance there, maximising his entry speed to the final corner, but not really what you want to be doing, all things considered. Again, beautiful livery there. Beautiful car. And a really, really good track. I do envy these guys. Circulating at the moment. Okay, no, we won't. We'll stay there. But now the sectors are starting to spread out, and the timesheets are starting to look a little bit pointless. I really wish that ACC would sort this out, because I have no split times anymore to use. All I've got is what I can see here. that battle between Mottram and Gutierrez is still attached by a reasonably length stretch of elastic. It hasn't been over 1.5 seconds the entire race. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Down into turn 1 they come again. Don't even know how many laps the GT4s have done. Let's open up the timing screens and let's have a look at Mottram, who has done 22 laps. Heinz is on the same lap as Mottram here in the Maserati. Where is Heinz on the track is the question. As Johnson's in the pits. Johnson has disconnected. That's what's happened. Oh, that's upsetting. So yes, that is Johnson that we have lost. I think he was going for the GT4 cars and mistakenly got put into the GT3 car. So a massive shame for Johnson in this very special race. But Heinz still making hay while he can. The gap goes out to 1.5 seconds. As what is going on here? There is a car behind Norman Bruce. Oh, Williams is all out on his own now. The car looks so composed. Really does. You have to question. Yeah, so Bruce has now got a 25-second gap. That was just the timing screens being a bit screwy. As Chevrolet, again, yeah, timing screens being silly. The gap between these two still only 1.5. Oh, just gone a little bit further out. There we go. As the Aston Martin and, well, the two Aston Martins, GT3 and GT4 respectively, have to give each other space to not crash into each other whilst lapping. And just in case you were wondering, SimRacingOnline now has a Discord server. So for all of your series, championships, league, speak, chat, and voice chat as well, which is fantastic. You can drop in there with like-minded racers and have yourself a jolly old time. Unfortunately, there's not all that much left for me to say now, barring a massive upset between the GT3 and GT4 classes trying to negotiate each other. These gaps look, unfortunately, a little bit stagnant now, as much as I hate to say it. Barley has a big old gap behind him as he comes across the line. And even the gap between Mottram and Gutierrez has opened out as well. Just for the time being, with the 122 getting a bit of tow from Andy Williams, who has just lapped him for the second time, I'm going to say. Yep, that will be the second time. So, twice in 45 minutes, about a 20-minute lapping rate. Not bad. It's a shame we didn't have more drivers sign up to this, though. It would have been an absolutely insane event to be able to hold a massive kicker oversteer from the 122. So all is not necessarily happy in that Maserati. It could just be the tyres crying that they've had enough. You can see Selby behind, who will be intent on trying to make or hit this 122 in as convenient a place as possible. Ooh, very nearly a bit of a problem there for Mottram as he went to turn in on the Bentley as he went to lap him. What's the gap here? So the 42 and... Ah, right, that was why. So the 25 has just gone a lap down to Grucock now. That's why my split time was being hopeful of some action. I'm surprised Hines is so far down in that 25 car. That 42 car looks absolutely brilliant. Never gets orange. I hear noises. I hear... Was that Hines spinning? Oh, retirement for Hines. Oh no, disqualified. Disqualification for Hines for... what? I don't know. Oh, dearie, dearie me. What on earth has happened there? As we are now down to 10 drivers, 4 in the GT3 class and 6 in the GT4s. And still only a second between the Chevrolet and Maserati here. So again, the race for GT4 honours is not over until until the Chevrolet says so. I think. And the 68 car has not given up yet. Can he, in this late stage of the race, as the 42 car comes up to lap them? Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Oh, I'm going to get... I've got to see this from a high view. As the 68 car is now the meat in the sandwich. As he goes to turn in, the 42 car's got nowhere to go. Absolutely nothing he can do, and he's now got to follow. Oof. That was a bit rude of the 42 car there. In fact, very rude of the 42 car there. Grucock's not got the pace to catch on Selvey, and is just going to barge up the inside of the GT4 cars. That's going to play into the hands of Gutierrez, though, with Mutram not able to get the power down as quickly as possible, it's going to push him right up onto the back of the Maserati. And now we have battle engaged for the GT4 lead. Remember, the Maserati is very quick in a straight line here, so we're not going to be seeing passes made necessarily on the longer straights, but maybe on the under braking into the slower corners if Gutierrez can get up underneath the slipstream of the Maserati. Again, on the brakes, the front end of that Chevrolet is so stiff. A twitch from the 122 under power, and now the 68 sees the gap in the weakness. Geimer in the 75 has gotten the drive-through, one would assume, for track limits there. But the 68 car sees the chink in the armour. It's under acceleration. The 122 is burning its tyres and can't maintain the pace that it had at the start of the race. Maserati goes super tight through Cavone. I think I said that right. And then into Del Caro. The Chevrolet just looking a little bit more sensible at this point in the race. And back out onto the start-finish race, start-finish straight again. And Gutierrez is almost coasting, almost looking comfortable there in the 68 car, placing the car perfectly on the apex of turns 1 and 2. 75 car takes a drive through, drops to the back of the field in the BMW. And out onto one of the longer straights at this particular track. Now 122 is still taking a really late apex. I don't know if he's able to hold it in, or maybe he was just trying to lure the 68 into a false sense of security. The gap remains stagnant at under a second for the time being, but we just need to wait for another GT3 car to make its presence known, and the fight will start all over again. Let's just with these relatively low downforce cars, yet again, jink right on the brakes, take as much curb as you dare, keep it stable under braking because you need to nail the exit of the hairpin here, and then doesn't change down a gear, does the Chevrolet through the final corner. And again, that little twitch from the 122 that can't be doing the tyres any good whatsoever. Now, if I was Gutierrez, I would be going right to the right-hand side of the road through that hairpin and trying to shallow out that curve. Short shifting. Again, the Maserati will have the power, but it's also burning those rear tyres, trying to keep the Chevrolet behind. It only needs to make it last for another 8 minutes. But you can see already there's just a four-wheel drift going for the Maserati. And the Camaro just looks to have a little touch more stability this late stage of the race, and this is the way you want to have the stability, revving the engine right out as they come out onto the back straight down towards Cavone. Again, "29 laps gone with 7 minutes to go." And this is going to be a battle that rages right to the checkered flag. 122 again not able to get into the apex, and it gives the slightest hint to the Chevrolet that maybe there's an opportunity to take the win here. Runs out wide again, the Chevrolet gets the apex. The Maserati doesn't, not by a long shot, but gets the power down through over the start-finish straight. And 7 minutes to go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. You've got 7 minutes, Gutierrez. Make this the best 7 minutes of your driving career. That 68 car looks beautiful, resplendent in blue with the daytime running lights lit as well. Gutierrez must be thinking that he can do this, but there's also... Is he playing tactical here? Is he just sitting behind the Maserati? He's picked his position, he's picked his spot, he knows when he's going to do it, but he's waiting as late as possible so that the Maserati can't get back past him on those long straights, because those straights, having the Maserati in front of him is what's keeping him with him. Having the enormous hole in the air for the car to follow through. What a ridiculous camera angle that is. Absolutely awesome. And then down through the twisty stuff we go. Jump on board yet again. See the Maserati just nowhere near the apex through this last sector. A massive twitch of oversteer on the acceleration as well. Cuts across the inside, runs right to the outside. Not really an acceleration zone here. And then hits the apex this time, but runs super wide, trying to maintain as much speed as possible. Mutram is a man under pressure right now as they go across the line for their start of their 31st lap. Take a breath for a second there as the 122 gets another twitch of oversteer. The Corvette short shifts yet again. Don't short shift this time. Oh, misses the apex just slightly. Gutierrez must be feeling confident about the last 5 minutes of this race. Just needs to pull up to the back of the Maserati and make good on the threat that he's been holding for at least the last half hour, if not more. The 122 had a tremendous amount of pace in the early part of the race, but having to come from further down seems to have taken its toll. As wide goes the 122, side by side they come out of the hairpin at Curva Tramonto, and side by side they will run down towards Cavone. The Maserati has the pace, but will he retain the lead? No, side by side they enter the first of the corners. One of them has to give way. The 68 is on the inside on the brakes. Who's going to be last? The late break as the 68 holds it side by side again. The 122 runs off the track, and now it must be, it's got to be. They're still side by side coming out of Del Caro, and then again the 68 leaves room for the 122, but the 122 was way up the inside trying to preserve its position. That was the best opportunity the 68 was going to have. I've got to be honest, I would have just kind of pushed the 122 perhaps out a little bit wide when I knew the car was behind. 3 minutes to go, and that's all it takes is for the 122 to have another twitch like that, another falter. And how easy was it to just outbrake himself, eyes in the rearview mirror again, not quite paying attention where he should be, and it's straight into the clutches of the 68 car. Oh, who says GT4 cars aren't good racing? Absolutely insane. The lack of downforce is what's making this as well, because they're relying so much more on the mechanical grip than the GT3 cars may be. May or may not be. And, ooh, this is interesting. It looks like they are catching up to the McLaren 570S of Bruce. Oh no. I've got to have eyes on the Maserati now, as there's just about enough space to see all three cars. Now this is slightly different. The 570S will have to jump out of the way of the leaders, but still you have to be in Muttram's head right now. What is Bruce going to do? Where's he going to go? Where's he going to make the pass? Where's he going to get the four-wheel drift? The 49 car runs wide off the track and just stamps on the brake to let both leaders through. Very well driven by Bruce there. And now onto the rumble strips, and the gap has extended this time between Muttram and Gutierrez, and it is 1.5 seconds. We've seen Muttram concede a bigger gap to Gutierrez, but you have to think that maybe Gutierrez has thought that that's the best opportunity he's going to get. 122 looks to be just about holding on. Those tyres must be approaching dead. Oh, and a bit of oversteer from Gutierrez. Where is Andy Williams on the track now? Again, a faultless race from start to finish. There's a minute left, so is he... Where is he on the track? Just starting, so this is probably going to be his last lap, I would suggest. Almost time to perfection, actually. What to say about the 22 car? Andy Williams again has put on an absolute masterclass in how to win these GT3 races. Selvey has been a valiant combatant the entire time, making sure that he's kept honest, making sure that Williams doesn't run away too far in the lead. But when they got round to the GT4 cars to start lapping for the first and second time, there is just an experience with Williams here. He kind of just knows. He seems to have a bit more of a touch with the car than Selvey does. Perhaps he's done these kind of endurance races before, knows what he's up against here. As we count down 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and beautifully timed. The 22 car will come across the line and take the victory. Absolutely superb drive from start to finish for Andy Williams. Conceded the start with, and Donuts back onto the track. Superb. Absolutely fantastic. And a collision as well. Sends the 7 into Donuts. So a second place for Selvey. Grucock will come across the line in the 42 car. A well-driven and well-earned podium position. 33 will come home in a very safe 4th position. 5th will be Muttram in the first of the GT4 cars, but still a lot left to go. Bali will take home 3rd position, the first of the cars to be lapped. And Milliken, a lot of action still out on track. I want to see the cars doing donuts. 7 car in the pits, that's a shame. Yeah, Williams has dropped out. 42 car in the pits. Rychek is going to be our next placed driver. We want to see a come across the line, but we are going to see Milliken and the BMW of Geimer, who has made absolute progress up towards the back. It's going to be a bit of a shame to see the BMW not get the reward it deserves from making such fantastic progress. But that will be the 56, the 75, and then Rychek across the line. Muttram also will come across the line as well, and that will be your 10 cars to finish. So in the order of winnings: Andy Williams, Tanner Selvey, Bill Grucock, Rychek, Muttram will and Rychek will round up your GT3s. Where have the GT4 cars gone? Muttram and then Gutierrez will be your first and second. Bali in third, if I remember correctly. All of the times I've reset, so... Oh, man. So, some congratulations going around in the paddock, and all I have left to do is see if there is actually anybody in the waiting room. Don't know how many people are even aware that this all exists at the moment, but in future, if there are drivers in the waiting room corresponding to the com box that I'm in, then I will be overjoyed to drag them into the com box and speak to them post-race, get an overview of their races from their specific standpoints and just anything that they want to say. In the meantime, it looks like we aren't going to get anybody come and say hi, which is unfortunate. I do enjoy speaking to the drivers post-race. It's one of those things that I really enjoy doing. But maybe the next time I see you, we will have a slightly closer race. But for me personally, that is going to be the FKR League on Tuesday nights. So, with that done, I think there is only one thing left to say, and that is, you have been watching Sim Racing Online, the home of virtual motorsport. My name is Misano Circuit, and it has been an absolute joy casting this race for you. I wish you all the best. I hope everybody has a lovely morning, afternoon, and evening, if wherever you in the world you happen to be. And I will see you. I'll see you next time for even more Assetto Corsa Competizione and even more SRO racing. Good night.